Yo, everybody! Welcome to Forge Narrative, our money night. Man, I can't even talk. I'm coming off vacation. I apologize. We weren't here last week. We are back now. Good to see everybody populating in the chat. I have one question that I want to know the answer to. Are you ready for it?
No.
What
I'm so ready for it.
in the heck is GW's obsession with librarian terminators?
Yes. Yeah, it's killing me, man. Like, they're good. Librarians are good.
Oh, no, okay. Look, Terminator armor we know is good. Librarians we know are good. The only reason that someone takes, like Grey Knights take Librarian Terminators is because they have no other option.
Yeah, exactly. When you're trying to get a big pool of dice going, it's, I like to save that 25 points or whatever.
Yeah, and their chunky butts don't fit well in transports.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, it's a cool model, and I want it. And if you notice, it's actually got like little Inquisition, like some flags on it. So it's, I mean, they want you to use it for different things, which I don't blame them. It's a cool figure. But this is like the third or fourth Terminator Librarian we've seen very recently, and nobody plays with them unless they have to.
I have like 5.
No, they're cool.
Yeah,
But,
I like
I'm
the
not some Grey Knights.
I like the handout, dude. Like put the skull in there, get some Hamlet action going.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm not hating on the figure. This is a cool figure. It is well designed. I love the cape. It's awesome. That chaplain though. The Dark Angels chaplain figure.
I took a second look after you were like, "Yo, that thing is bad A," and I was like, "Really? Was it?" I looked at it. Oh my god.
Good. That dude is wearing the kind of armor you want. Like that armor is intimidating. That Powerfist is awesome. Crozius is awesome. I love the whole thing.
Yo,
he's very busy. Yeah.
Layers of plates like everywhere. I was like, oh my god, man, this dude just laughs as bolters hit him.
If anybody out there on the internet uses a Terminator Librarian for anything serious outside of Grey Knights, please let me know. I want to know. Like maybe you're the reason. Maybe we're the reason. Because like Chris, you said you've got 5. Yeah. Justin, I'm sure you've got a couple. I've got a few. We're sending the wrong message. Is what.
I have that old one, like the teeny tiny Terminator base. Back when they were on the 25s, and they were all like hunched shoulders like this. It had the axe and the big giant standard that was like 3 times as high as the model was. Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Today, I had somebody ask me. This is another question I want to know. Ask me if I had any spare shuriken. Scatter lasers. The answer is obviously no. I do not have spare scatter lasers. But I told him, like, dude, you're gonna want shuriken cannons anyways. Like, no, I appreciate that as a second option, but I really like the extra shot and the extra range. So my next question for the night, I'm asking the audience tonight, is like, what are you killing with that extra shot? What are you doing? You're not doing anything. Like, and maybe it's just me. I haven't played in an army in years that's cared about your extra shot and your extra range.
That's valid. I'm with you. I like the mix. I like shuriken cannons because of what they bring, the versatility, especially with that rending and stuff like that. I mean, that's just awesome.
You're going to want to kill Wraith Knights. You're going to want to kill Marines. You're going to want to do real damage when you do shoot.
More reliable, like, take away the options of saves. And instead of, well, I know I'm going to hit you and I know I'm going to wound you, but you're just going to shrug it off if you got a 2-up or something. Like, the shuriken cannon gives you multiple things that you can shoot at and kill.
Yeah, and I do think that you should layer your range threats with Eldar, and maybe it's me coming out, playing a more aggressive style. I want to be jamming. I always want to be, ABJ. Always be jamming. I don't know. Is that a thing?
Wow, that's a thing.
It is now. It's the new
by TVM.
This new month is ABJ all the time.
ABJ month.
I'll tell you. Well, I've been hit by both. And I feel like the shurikens hurt more because I usually play Marines. The formation that you use with the Eldar, it's the Windrider host, where you can choose a turn to shred. That can be super useful because it gives you one more chance to get that 6.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. The more I look at it, though, on the tournament side, I'm actually shying away from the Wraith Guard and all these D stuff that everyone's talking about as being so oppressive. Like my list right now, if I were to take the list I'm thinking about taking to ATC that I posted up, a version of it on our Forge Narrative Facebook, it doesn't have any Wraith Guard in it. Yeah, and it's an unlimited, like, just open list design. You can work in more tricks to put the Wraith Guard in, and if it's a kind of a, I guess I don't want to say restricted. If it's a Type 1 event, then you're going to run into different ways, hard ways to get your Wraith Guard in.
Yeah.
And so it's best not to even take them, otherwise you're just kind of twiddling your thumbs with the points. And that's something to consider if you're playing against those kind of things in a tournament. Like if you're going to an event that only lets you take one or two sources or one combined arms detachment, one allied, or one formation, something like that, it's going to be harder to work the Wraith Guard in. To be effective. I mean, you can take them, of course, the points are going to allow it, but it's going to be hard to make them to where they can do all of this horror, this bad stuff you're hearing about.
I think that the best version of the Wraith Guard is the one in the Wraith Host formation that gives them battle focus.
Battle focus, you bring them in with Dark Eldar or Webway portals or anything or Wave Serpents, and it's good. And the points allow you to take that host and a Seer Council. Like you could take a lot of stuff with that, and it's very strong. I'm just saying this from a pure tournament tactics idea, that look at the way that people are the way that you can build the list, and if it's only a 2-type source, you're going to worry less about the Wraith Guard and more about all the smaller things. Like I'm considering taking many units of War Spiders and Jet Bikes just to have the range to get all around. It's the event and missions and the event structure will determine what lists are the most powerful. We know that. I'm just trying to put some food for thought out there that there are going to be lots of different builds out there. The Eldar Codex, there are no bad units.
Well, another thing to keep in mind is that those shuriken catapults and the shuriken cannons are going to eat that Wraith Host alive if you have an Eldar on Eldar fight in a tournament.
Yep, that's very true. And stuff like, we're about to get new Marines. Now, okay, do I think Cult Mechanicus is the answer to the Eldar? I do. Do I think Skitarian pods are the answer to the Eldar? I do. Do I think the next 5 codexes coming out are going to be the answer to the Eldar? Yes, I do. So what's my next thing? I don't want to ban anything. I don't want to restrict anything. I want everything to play out like it should, because there's going to be answers. And me coming as someone who wants to play to win a tournament, and I'm telling you that I'm not even going to be taking the things you're most afraid of, but I should say you, not the listeners, the internet, the random unwashed masses or whatever are most afraid of. That's not what you're going to see at the top tables of many tournaments.
Well, I know what I'm going to see at the top tables. It's called the Holy Requisitioner. That's that deep striking freaking
formation breacher. Let me give some shout outs. Lou, Lamont, Sean, Gabriel, Troy, Angelo, Coach, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for the saying the Swallow interview was awesome. Yeah, man, that dude. I never talked with anybody that passionate about their craft. I don't think. I mean, the dude was on it, and great guy to speak to. There's going to be something else coming this month. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to say what, but stay tuned. I have another big interview coming up. No spoilers, guys.
Well, a big shout out to Troy too, man. He painted up a Night Lord the other day, and he had it posted up. And Aaron Dembski Bowden himself was like, "Yo, legit, stamp of approval."
Nice. That dude's a real dude. That's all I can say. Both Troy and Aaron and Steve. Good to see you. I didn't give a shout out just a second ago. Okay, so Cult Mechanicus, that formation with all the free upgrades. That's going to be the real deal. I put together a list this morning looking at the book. You can fit that entire formation and the Flesh Terror Strike Force in there with 5 pods for like 1925 points.
Yeah.
In a 2K list, you're dropping down like 19 units with all the free stuff all the war gear you weren't going to take before, just sprinkled in, just a bunch of Like, you know what? You get plasma guns. You get plasma guns. You get that weird skull thing. You get the flashlight. You get the, it's just.
You get the graph thing.
Yeah. There's
That's some
pistols in
oily
there you'd
cheese
never
right
take.
there.
The arc maul. I said it on the podcast, but my dudes are going to take arc mauls. I'm going to take the signums. I mean, if it exists, you can put it in there, and that's really strong.
That's way strong because it's not 2,000 points. It's like 2,400, 2,500 points in a 2,000 point list.
Way more than that.
Yeah, once you start adding in all the Icarus las cannons and stuff like that on the Dune Striders and the Knight, I mean, it's a lot of points to put in there. But my local buddy mentioned, he's like, well, let's think of it this way. No one's really talking about it, but we saw a formation with free war gear in the Eldar too.
Yes.
The Storm Guardians.
That's right.
So I'm willing to bet this is not the end. We're going to see more things with free war gear. So we've got Blood Angels, we've got Eldar, now we have Cult Mechanicus. Were there anything in there, like major Codex releases, that I'm missing?
I'm not sure if there's anything in the Necron book that did that.
The Necron book came out after Blood Angels for sure.
Yeah, but they pioneered the Decurion, so they don't need free stuff.
Well, I mean, you say that the Decurion isn't the Decurion what makes them competitive?
Exactly. Well, and that's one of the thoughts I was having lately was, we were so wowed at the idea of this Decurion and oh my gosh, the 4+ feel no pain that never goes away, and et cetera, et cetera. And now, with all this other stuff that's coming out, that might just be the thing that's keeping the Necrons in the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. The same thing with like Adlance. It's like people complained about his power level, but that's what's keeping the Knight strong. Until we got this new Knight Dex, which has a couple of neat things in it too.
Yeah, I like the versatility that this Knight Codex has. I'm still sticking to I think Adlance might be a little bit better than everything that's in there now.
It's more reliable. It is definitely more reliable.
The versatility that the Codex has now, though, like you're not hindered. Flyers, you don't care about flyers anymore. Like all the cool little toys and gadgets you can get now.
Lou, that brings up my point, about scatter lasers. Like when in a flyer-heavy environment, that extra shot actually does matter. That's the only time I'm going to want to have a bunch of scatter lasers over shuriken cannons, because it doesn't necessarily matter about the 6 most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that extra shot might give me, the odds start to swing to your snapshot or snap shooting a little easier.
Well, and speaking of things that keep you in the game, I mean, I had an experience this weekend playing a game of 40K with a Tyranid player, and he was using just straight Tyranid units out of his book, and I had some Forge World love in there, and I allied 1 Inquisitor in the list. And it's amazing how much I felt more like I could interact with 2 Flying Hive Tyrants and 2 Crones when I have a Fire Raptor. Like, there's the interaction that I can bring, and the same goes with the Sikaran. The Sikaran battle tank has so much utility and versatility. It's so strong for how many points it costs, and it helps keep me in the game.
But it's not unbalanced. I mean, it's still just a tank.
No, and it's a 3 hull point tank. It will die if you let it. If you put it in range of something that can kill it, it'll die just as fast as a Predator. And I just feel like the more I see these call-outs for restrictions and things, I feel like if I had, instead of my Fire Raptor, if I had a Storm Raven, my Storm Raven would not have done half the work that my Fire Raptor did. If I had been stuck with a Bell Predator instead of a DACA Sikaran, I would not have been able to interact with that army.
Let's think about this stuff, though. I mean, we always talk about this as like the renaissance of 40K, where we're getting everything we ever asked for and more. It's like we're the ones that are making it hard to play this game because we want it to fit in this little box that we think the tournaments are. But they're giving us all the tools to make it our own experience,
mm-hmm.
and to make it as fun as we want it to be. And I'm really digging it. Like you talk about the Fire Raptor, yeah. I mean, but let's think about it also. People used to have this idea about Forge World being so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I mean, there's not that much of a divide between mainline 40K and, let's say, 30K or Forge World items.
Ooh, yeah. And 30K, I've been on a 30K buzz lately. Been reading through that Tempest book.
Dude, you got that? You got it handy? Can you just show people? I mean, that thing is.
Yeah, I'll go grab it. Hold on.
Yeah, that
it's
thing
like
is
right
awesome.
there.
A monster of a tome.
It is a great book. I mean, like I've said this many times, but if they put out 40K codexes exactly like this, I would buy them all the time, no question anymore.
Yeah,
Just
you can charge me double. I don't even care.
All day, every day. You know, it is such a solid book, and you know we joke, but you know, if you're starting a 3,000 point army, the Warlord Titan is probably your best sound economic purchase.
It's bigger than my head. It's bigger than my face. This thing is a beast.
It's quality.
Very nice, and it's worth every dollar you spend on it. I've never bought. I mean, it's like buying an encyclopedia, and the art in here is. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, Lou's got the right idea. He's like, you know, he says, "Ban today, regret tomorrow. Who knows what's coming out?" Yeah, that's right. I mean, like
265.
all this hubbub about like what's awesome now. It may not be awesome a week from now. And if we start making it harder to kill the stuff, like say you want to ban Grav, I don't know why you would, then the Wraith Knight is obnoxious. You know, if you ban the Wraith Knight, then you know what checks some of this other stuff. I don't know, whatever. We know that. We know how it is. And Lou, I completely agree with you.
If you want to play 3rd edition 40K, get out your 3rd edition rulebook and play it. Cool, that's fine. Get out your 3rd edition codices and you can play it that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. The books are still there. It's not like they disappeared. You find a like-minded person, you can play whatever kind of 40K you want. But
I've often thought about going back and playing some 2nd edition games. Just to do it, but I remember how long they took, how the War Gear cards worked. You know,
there was some real. I mean, it was not simple. People talk about bookkeeping now, but I had a harder time staying organized in the older editions than I do with this one.
You know, I think we're definitely on the more complicated side. But it went like this. You know, like 2nd edition very complicated, 3rd edition not complicated, and then 4th edition we started to creep back up. And now we're up here in line. I think it's similar to 2nd edition.
I think the hardest part now is the little changes that happened over the years with the edition swaps and USRs tweaking slightly. Like for me, it's like, what does Rending do again? Like, well, that was a bad example. Rending's easy.
I know what you mean though. There's lots of stuff like Relentless or Zealot.
Yeah.
Combined rules inside of rules.
My brain is like, which version am I thinking of right now? I don't know.
I keep the USRs right here, handy, like anytime. You know, like we got a question on the Facebook. He's like, look, this dude, and I did the exact same thing. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. There's nothing wrong with this question. He's like, these weapons have the graviton rule, but the graviton rule's not in there. What you know? Where is it? It's in the main rulebook now. Graviton is in the main rule. It's in the Universal Special Rules, and I fell for that too. I didn't. I was like, I'm flipping through pages. I'm like, oh, I bet it's just the one out of the book. Yep.
I keep one of the mini rule books in my bag I bring to work, so if a question pops up, I can just whip it out.
Bill, good to see you. Gabriel, good to see you too. Man, he's asking. He's like, this guy. We might as well get to some questions. I'm sorry, I've been on a rant. I apologize. He's asking. Said, would possess Space Marines count for regular Chaos Space Marines? The models do look awesome. Use them. Don't let anybody tell you not to use them. Just have them war geared appropriately. Like, even if you just use the Bolter Marines out of the Dark Vengeance box set, they look cool too. Just war gear them appropriately, and no one should ever say anything to you.
What else we got? Let's see. I'm gonna learn how to read today.
Don't do it.
Ooh.
It's not worth it.
Lamont's asking silencers or psy cannons. What do you guys think? I know what I want to say. But you guys take it.
Psy cannons.
The silencers don't have enough strength. They need more things to work.
Yeah,
you're going to have more reliability with the psy cannon.
They're one-trick ponies against, if you know you're playing demons, silencers.
Well, okay. Now, they're also awesome against these new Cult Mechanicus things.
That's
yes,
true.
They are.
Volume, yeah.
Because the Cult Mechanicus have multiple wounds and not that great of an armor save. And you can gun them down with some force stuff. So it has a place. I just think more often than not, you're going to have the reliability and appreciate the reliability of the stock cannon.
I agree with you. I feel like the silencer is a nice gimmick, but most of the things that have multiple wounds, aside from Cult Mechanicus, which made this more niche as opposed to just flat out not very viable, you're going to be wounding them on 6s with no AP. Like,
Coach is exactly right. He's like, why don't we just ban melta guns and las cannons? And if you were to ask me what I want banned, it wouldn't be anything in my army. It'd be everything in your army I was tardified. I'm joking. I would try. But I'm not. Anyway, I know most of us wouldn't do that. But you're right. It's like we have tools out there. We also have, with the internet, all the information's out there. We know what to prepare for. At least in some vague sense. No one's going to know all the rules right now anymore because we're getting things so rapidly, and it's going to be like, I haven't read the complete Cult Mechanicus book. I've read the War Guide that looked appealing to me, and I've read the Army Enlist entry enough to make that formation I was talking about.
Now you're bracing yourself for the next release.
Yeah, but I know, but at least I've been able to get enough from the internet and the codex to kind of piece together what I think it is, and so I'm prepared for it when I face it. I at least get to have the right kind of situation going on in my mind to fight it. And with the social contract, I can just ask my opponent, hey, what does that do? Let me see that if it looks weird. I've got a good BS meter, so if you hit me with a rule that sounds weird, I'm like, just let me see that. Yeah. And that's not bad sportsmanship because the guy's probably not trying to, be awkward about it. But at the same time, I need to see it for me, so I rationalize it. And there have been several things that are that crazy, and it was legit. So.
Yep, agreed.
But I don't want to play checkers, to Coach's point. I don't want to do that. I want to play this weird sci-fi, almost space opera, grim, dark space opera. That's what I want. That's right. We even have Lady Vikings, I think, somewhere in here.
Just not on this podcast.
Lamont, who won your game? He said he's been fighting his son's new Grey Knight models. I love to see that. My son has a few Grey Knight models also, not an army's worth. But this was back when they had games days. He was so adorable. They gave him mini stacks of miniatures, and and he didn't even pay to get in.
Nice.
But whatever. Sometimes it just pays to be cute.
Bring back games days.
Oh, please do, man! Warhammer World, how awesome! I mean, all the stuff from that was.
Oh man, yes. It's on my. Yeah, if I go to England, I don't want to see no royal gems. I want to see that Warhammer World.
Do them both. Go to the Tower of London, see the crown jewels and all the fancy swords, and then take a train to Nottingham. That's exactly what I did.
All right, fancy swords. I can get behind that. I collect some very, very poorly made replica swords. So.
Yeah, Steve's asking, are Helldrakes going to make a comeback? It's a good versus Eldar bikes and a potential soft pod units. Yeah, Helldrakes are strong. They can put down that torrent template. It is pods are going to be real. Like pods are going to make a serious comeback. Not that they haven't already. Especially somebody made this comment today, but basically that Hal Gabriel says he's in the pod renting business.
Oh yeah.
That was hilarious. Because I posted that pic of basically him being sad because now everyone's going to get an eviscerator. So he's got nothing special. And somebody said, well, he doesn't care about that. He doesn't fight anymore. He just has a pod selling business, pod renting business, which I agree.
He's probably got more pods than Space Marines left in the chapter, let's face it.
Is that what are they getting beat up?
They got about 400 guys. They got about 400 guys left, and less than 5 scouts because he let them all die.
Yeah.
What?
Gabriel Seth's army consists of 5 scouts, all the drop pods.
Well, just like most Blood Angel armies consist of 1 priest and 5 scouts.
I was about to say, that is basically how I made the Flesh Terror army today to go with these Mechanicus. Was exactly 5 scouts and 5 pods.
And a sanguinary priest, my bad.
Yeah, and a sanguinary priest. Yeah.
On a bike.
He wasn't on a bike. He was just going to ride down with some grab dudes.
Too many points.
Way to break the mold, Paul. Way to break the mold.
Trying to have a single priest. But to Steve's question, yes, Helldrakes they're good for their points. I mean, they were better obviously before when they could fire from anywhere, but and the Vector Strike was better.
Yeah.
But they are still going to. They are good. You're not going to find a lot of people with anti-air that much anymore. At least not in huge quantities because flyers are not in vogue right now. And they got the invulnerable save. They never have to jink.
To me, I think Helldrakes went from great to good. Like you mentioned, the turret thing and then the vector strike. They're still good. They're just not great.
Oh, they were imbalanced before. Like it was obnoxious. Like when you saw somebody, they could roll up the table with 4 Helldrakes when Black Legion came out.
Stuff, yeah.
You saw some people with some frowny, sad faces.
And we're complaining about Eldar. That was way worse.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, because there were sometimes you're just like, well, I guess I'm burned up. Okay, Vector Strike, 3 hits. Well, that's dumb. Oh, and you're gonna flame me out of your butt? That's dumb.
Yeah, Deathwing almost had a chance to come back then.
But they're fun to play and they're cool models.
Yeah.
So I don't own more than 2. I don't own more than 2 painted because that trim is serious.
Yeah.
That's the most intimidating part about Chaos. It's not the gods, it's the frickin' trim.
Yeah, those are some ornate models.
Maybe the intimidating idea of walking through a door with those 1,000 Sun helmets and the Khorne Berserker helmets.
You make a good point. Like the architecture of their ships has to compensate.
Yeah, there's got to be some pretty tall, big doors, or maybe just some like triangle-shaped holes where they walk through it so many times.
That's what started the feud between the Space Wolves and the Thousand Suns, because the Space Wolf doors only come to here, and they invited the Thousand Suns in.
I think we might be onto something there. I think we might need to get an interview with Guy Haley to confirm.
Maybe that's coming up. I don't want to spoil who the special guest is going to be coming up this month, but they're not going to stop. Dean, man, good to see you. Thanks for jumping into this Hangout for the first time. You can also catch us live, and I guess the replay on YouTube, and subscribe. I don't know where the button. I think it's down here. If you have not already. So okay, Cult Mechanicus. The book is out. It's awesome. The figures are some of the best, like just individual figures I think we've seen in a while. Coming right, Marines are next. The Devastators. I mean, did you guys peep the leg armor on the Devastators?
Oh yeah.
I was too busy staring at that graph cannon.
No, those sculpts are through the roof.
Rumor is now I did not see this for myself. I got told this by another Ultramarine person, but the rumor is the chapter tactics for the Ultramarines are going to be able to, have relentless on the squads for one turn.
I tell you what, Biomancy and Endurance got a whole lot more attractive. If I can get some grab dudes, like Devastator dudes in pods with a Librarian with Endurance, I got some relentless grab cannons right there.
Relentless grab cannons coming down in pods, and if that's, break out the your Tempest book if you don't mind, Chris, and then read me what Gilliam does. Reboot.
Gilliman.
Yo, that dude is legit. I'll let you read the word for words, but from what I've peeped, that dude is so cool.
Oh, he has some neat tricks, and I'll tell you, I really like what they did with the Ultramarines here, because they made them effectively rigid, but also inflexibly rigid. It was so perfect.
That's what we saw in the last Space Marine Codex, is that it made that normal interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was less a matter of like the normal interesting, but it just felt so. It's the first time I've seen an idea for an army turn into an effective mechanic.
We only got an hour, bud.
All right, fine, rant over. Gosh. All right, special rules aside from the general Primarch stuff, which we all know and love. Sire of the Ultramarines. Rabute Gilliman and any unit he joins may reroll failed charge distances and ignore the effects of the concussion special rule. All models with the Adeptus Astartes Ultramarine special rule in the same army as Rabute Gilliman gain +1 to their leadership value to a max of 10 when he's in play. So you get a free +1 to leadership, which is big.
You say ignore concussive?
Ignores concussive. Just straight up. Like it's him and the unit he's attached to.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So he's got preternatural strategy, which fluffity fluff, if an army containing Robut Guilliman has been determined to have the first turn in a particular mission, the opposing player must reroll successful attempts to seize the initiative, where this is a factor.
Wow.
So if you try and seize the initiative against Ultramarines, he's going to be like, yo.
That's
Do it again.
That's strong. That's very strong.
Select a single unit entry from the Ultramarines army list. Units of this type, so this is a unit type, so you could say Tactical Marines or, specialist squads.
Well, you sure not unit type is not infantry or jump infantry?
Yeah. It says a single unit entry from the Ultramarines
Oh, unit
army
entry.
list.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Units of this type in his detachment gain one of the following rules: Implacable Advance, Interceptor, or Tank Hunters if they do not already possess it.
That is strong.
Only one special rule may be chosen, which affects all selected units. This applies to particular entries in the army list, not types of models or the chosen unit's dedicated transports. So here's another cool thing about this, really fast, before you get impatient with me again.
No, you're good.
Is that it spells out in the rule, here's an example of what this means, and here's an example of what this doesn't mean. It's so clear. When fighting in a challenge, he gains +1 weapon skill on each round of continuous combat after the first, becoming 8, 9, 10, etc. The effect is reset, and you must start again from his normal weapon skill value against each subsequent opponent fought in a challenge. So the longer that he fights you, the more likely he's going to kill you.
That's the coolest freaking rule ever.
That is good. I don't know how it competes with like Angron's rules because that dude's super beef.
But if he lives against Angron for 2 or 3 rounds, he's going to be putting the hurt on him because Angron's only got the 3+, 4+, and while Guilliman has the 4+, he's going to get harder to hit, and he's going to hit easier as he keeps going.
He's got the power sword in that version too. What's his war gear?
So aside from his other special rules, you can't ever adjust his leadership. You can never modify it, and he gets to reroll fail to deny the witch. He has the Armor of Reason. It is a 2+ armor save and a 4+ invulnerable save, and the first failed invulnerable save in each phase can be rerolled.
Oh, okay.
He has the Gladius Incandor and the Hand of Domination, the Pimp Hand of Domination. And the Gladius is Strength +1, AP2, so that means he's striking at Strength 7, AP2. Melee Shred, Murderous Strike, Specialist weapon.
That's brutal. Okay, having it be a specialist weapon is good because that means he'll get an extra attack with his Power Fist most likely.
And it specifically says he can only choose one to fight with, but no matter which one he chooses, he gets that buff. It specifically says he gets that +1 always.
Okay.
So Murderous Strike attacks with this special rule cause instant death on a 2 wound roll of 6. So
that's where what's his name? Sakaris gets it from, I guess.
Hand of Dominion. Strength 10.
What's the name of that sword?
Gladius Incandor.
I don't know. Is that's not the same as Sicarius' sword, is it?
No, his is the Tempest Blade.
Okay.
But Hand of Dominion is Strength 10, AP1, Melee, Concussion, Unwieldy, Specialist weapon.
I'm not trying to interrupt again. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish all the rules.
Dang it, Paul! You're throwing off my time.
Wouldn't that be neat if it's a one-handed sword to Marnius, but it's a two-handed sword to Sicarius? Yeah. Or not Marnius, Robute.
Yeah. Well, Marnius probably applies too. The guy's got, he does not skip shoulder day. So, and then he's got a gun. It's called the Arbitrator. It's a 18-inch, Strength 6, AP3, Assault 2, Rending. So
okay. At least he can do something. Go pop off a couple before he runs in there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, he's going to be killing a power armor marine or two. He's ballistic skill 6. This standard 7, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 4, 10. 2+. I could read this for the rest of the hour.
I'm with you. 30K for the win, too. Like, right now, with all the various marks that they're providing for us in the plastic kits, and with maybe some plastic heresy on the horizon, that we've heard it's like the mythic tall tale right now. I don't see any reason not to build your Marines as if you're also building a 30K army, for the most part. Have that in mind because 30K is coming with a vengeance, and it's it's more
It's a good
balanced.
game.
It's more balanced, in my opinion, than kind of 40K is, because they have very limited things. Like, you're not going to find, a towel, anything in 30K. You're not going to find, and they can balance it because it's basically all marine on marine conflict.
Well, and another thing, and I was kind of teasing someone about this today, talking about how 30K appeals to a lot of historical gamers, or people that are like, you need to play your game and you need to paint your army to look just like what's in the book, because this is history, and it appeals to a lot of those people that don't necessarily want to play competitive, despite the fact that it is built to be a better competitive game than the standard Warhammer 40K game set. Am I wrong?
No, yeah, I think that's a very fair comparison, and it is. You're right. It is history, and everything is like, this is a certain way, and there's no deviating from it. And you're not supposed to make any successor chapters. You're supposed to paint these guys blue, these guys pink, these guys white, and that's just what it is. And I think that keys into certain people.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with playing it that way. That's the way I'm going to be
not.
playing it. I'm painting my Blood Angels. They're going to look just like the Blood Angels in the Cygnus Prime book, or whenever it comes out. And I am going to paint my Sanguinius. Probably I'm going to try and paint him better than the way they paint it. But that's going to be that's going to be a challenge.
If you do, you do. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. But I'm going to do it that way, not because I think that's the way it should be done, but because that's the way I get the most enjoyment out of it, because I kind of like that, living that history feel that comes from this game.
Well, we wouldn't be playing it if we didn't. We wouldn't be playing 40K if we didn't love what happened in 30K. Like, I don't think, for the most part. I mean, not like everybody feels that way, but like the Chaos or the beginnings of Chaos versus the Imperium of Man, the Horus Heresy is incredibly, I guess, intoxicating is the best word to put it.
Yeah, the fluff is what grabs you.
Yeah, well, I was reading the Shield of Baal collection, which is the Black Library bundle they put up on the iTunes bookstore.
Yeah.
And there was some funky Necron heresy stuff in there. Like, there's this Necron Silent King guy who shows up to a fist bump meeting with Dante, and he's wearing a Sanguinius death mask. So this Necron guy has Sanguinius face on it, and Dante's like, dude, not cool. Not cool. Because he's got this perfectly angelic, serene face, and then Dante's like, he's got the scary face of pissing yourself.
Yeah, the scary face of Sanguinius. And he has okay. Now look, I understand that we have to make room for these new races in the background. That I don't even know what to think about that. I read it and I was like, I don't even know what I'm reading right now. I can't process it in my brain.
Ward started the fist bump, right, for Necrons and Blood Angels?
It was in that codex, and that, I think that it caused all of us diehard Blood Angel fans pause. But let's think about it, though. I said, they do have to make room for all this new stuff, and they can't just tack it on. They can't be like, okay, here's the deep, rich history of 40K that you all know and love and why you play the game, and then we just like thumbtack in some crap. They've got to kind of like you're painting. They've got to kind of flow it back into there and do some blends. And I don't like how they blended that. But think about it this way, like, what if there's other ties out there that we don't even necessarily know about, and that will develop over time. They've got this like huge bucket to draw from, which is nice.
Well, I'll tell you, after reading those books, the Alliance made a lot more sense to me, because that Codex thing that Matt Ward wrote, there is a novel in that collection about that.
Well, yeah, but that was written retroactively. I think so.
And that made it better than the way that it was before. But like the idea, it was kind of funny because the Necrons they show up at this planet. The Blood Angels like, not having any of that. So they drop in, they start Murderface and stuff, and then the Necrons pull back, and the Tyranids show up. Dante's like, well, this is a problem. Which do we kill first? So the Necrons are like, yo, we brought enough Necrons to kill all these Tyranids, and then you came and you slapped us really hard, and now we don't have enough Necrons. So can you help us out? That's basically how it turns out.
It's like worse than that. I mean, there's also like I think in the Codex there's an incursion of demons. At the same time, Tyranids are coming, and they're basically getting pushed together. You know, so but then the whole mind wipe at the end to not. Yeah, it just makes me greasy to think about it.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I got mind wiped.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's what it is, and because anyway, it makes me greasy to even consider. But at the same, you're right. I'm more open to the idea of when they brought in that fluff that you just talked about.
There was a very oddly put in, like, Grey Knight story that was thrown in there randomly that I didn't really quite understand, but.
Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, it's hard to keep everything flowing smooth, and there's going to be some bumps. When we're as close to it as I was saying, as close to the Blood Angel, like, vibe and fluff as it is, it's hard to make us happy. Like, those stories aren't written for us. They're written for the person who's not that way and wants to get that way.
Yeah, it could be worse, man. The Game of Thrones dude could be writing 40K stuff, and just everybody just dies.
I'm pretty sure he secretly wrote all of the End Times novels.
People used to die, and like Lysander died, and they had to retcon it to bring him back. People used to die all the time. Tycho was dead, I think, for a while.
He's still dead.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kind of characters that are dead, but they put them in the book so you could play them if you wanted to write your own story and build your own battles and stuff.
Or play out the War for Armageddon. But yeah, I mean, aside from being dead, Tycho is generally dead to me. I read his rules again today on a whim, and I was just like,
he's still not good.
The dead man's hand. What happened to the dead man's hand? He needs it.
Yeah, Lou's got a good point here. He's like, it's easier to see who the villain and the good guys are in 30K, and by the time 40K comes around, it's a mash. There are no clear, real good guys, and nobody fighting for the right and the wrong. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the awesome things about Horus, is that he gets everybody confused, like, because some people aren't fighting for the wrong; they just end up being wrong. People like Proturbo come to mind, and Magnus.
Proturbo.
Yeah, that tragic kind of fall, like, oh crap, like, this isn't what we were really doing, but it's kind of what we ended up doing.
And bing bam, I'm a demon prince.
Yeah. Where do we go from here?
Yo!
Which is so weird, whatever. Dean saying the lion lives, man, it took a while for Lionel Johnson to grow on me. I had to read...
Still hasn't.
Well, I had to read Unremembered Empire for him to really take an effect on me. Have you read Unremembered Empire yet, Chris?
Oh, yeah. I read it. I think I read it twice. And yeah, I mean, his role in that was fairly good, aside from the whole... Well, I'm not going to spoil that. But
no, he was a badass in that book. Like, where Rabute was basically trying to like be all aggro on him, and he's like, "Look, man, you're gonna find out why I'm the First Legion, Holmes. Like, you better back up. Like,
get your hands off me."
He said it in a way that's way better than I just did it. But that was like, man, you will respect the number one here.
Yeah.
Like,
Paul is translating for Thug 40K. Right?
That's right. Like, yo, cuz. Like, you better back up before I bust that.
Great book, though. I love that book.
Yeah. He had a good start, too. Like, when they were all sent off and they grew up, like, he grew up, like, on a death world, and, he had to overcome quite a bit. That feral aspect about him. I mean, his prowess and everything, and then he gets linked up with the tribe and all that stuff. Like, he's got a good story. You really got to, look at it and then, like, see, like, the trials and stuff that he had to go through to become what he was.
When you talk about the lion lives, though, it's more like the lion's taking a cat nap for, like, 10 years.
Yeah, that's the best way to bring Primarchs back to 40K. Wake him up. Was it Reboot's in a freaking coma too, right?
Rabute, yeah. Steve, yeah, that was between Khan and Magnus in Scars.
That was so good.
It is. That is worth reading. Like, okay, White Scars was another chapter that I did not expect to appreciate, even though that I've played them many, many times with Super Friends and whatever. I did not expect to appreciate them as much as I did. But that book, I mean, because we've heard things about Khan. We've heard that one story about Khan of him riding on top of a rhino to go and capture the spaceport, to take it away from Chaos. To, that was that heresy story, and that's all you ever heard about Khan. He basically did that and rode off, and that was it. But he plays it up too. Like when they're having that talk, they're like, he's like, you don't know me, you don't know anything about me. Like, and there's a reason for that. I don't have to tell you how good I am with a sword. Because if you want to find out, bring it. It's like step to it, and I will show you exactly how good I am or I am not. But it's going to be up to you to make that choice whether or not you want to really learn. I don't need to be the guy that tells you. And that was, I fell in love with the chapter, and that conversation between Khan and Magnus in there, and and Mortarion.
Yeah.
Beautifully written, well done, awesome story. If you've not read
everybody seems to have a nemesis in the heresy, right? There's some chapters that seem built to fight against each other, and the Death Guard and the White Scars didn't really have anybody, and so we put them together it's this great juxtaposition of you got these slow, implacable, heavy guys, and you've got these lightning fast, quick, and they perfectly exemplify what their Primarch's battle strategies are, and they're the perfect opposites for each other to fight, as opposed to two of the same thing trying to do the same thing better than the other.
Yeah. Lamont, I'm with you on those hands for the Grey Knights. Those and the Sanguinary Guard, and even like the Blood Needles, they just give you these little tiny hands. And they're cool if you get them right. If you get them right where they're supposed to be, they look awesome and epic. But most of the time I got gaps and stuff.
This is my strong hand.
Yeah, I've many frustrations with trying to get that, and it seems like the only time the glue ever like immediately takes hold is when I've got the hand in the wrong position.
Yep. And then it sticks to your finger when you get it to the right position. It's like, all right, I finally got this, and somehow you've got your finger on the other side of the model, and then you go to put it down, and then you pick it right back up.
Yeah, pro tip. Tweezers.
Georgia is the worst place to superglue things. All right, Gabriel's other questions. What would you guys recommend taking against Knight Super Heavies with Chaos Space Marines? 5-man Meltagun Chosen Squads? Yes. Those are good. Very, very good. You cannot go wrong with that. And I would go Black Legion if I was doing that. If that's what you're going to be fighting a lot, I'd go that. Obliterators, also pretty strong. Can't go wrong with Obliterators. They're still good after all these years.
Don't anybody tell you expensive, but they do work.
Well, you can bring them down. You can deep strike them. So if you've got 2 Obliterators, you could like come down on either side of Knights. And so if you're trying to fight Adlance, you can get he can't have his shield on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
The 5-man Meltaguns are good. Not having this no fear is a difficult obstacle to overcome. But Leadership 10 sometimes gets done, and they're cheap points wise.
Even so, why don't you bring in some of this stuff from War Machines of Lost and the Damned to fight the Knights with? There's some great options in there.
Like Tank Hunter and Sicarians, or...
Oh, yeah. I can take out a Knight in one volley for one of those things. And I find that the trick with Knights is less the guns you're shooting at them. Yes, you need to have strongish guns. But it's more the tactics. Present multiple threats, make him divide that shield up. Because once... if he's not playing it right, if he's not giving cover to his unexposed sides, like he's basically opening himself up and saying, you can hit me and there's nothing I can do to stop it.
And Gabriel, soon you're going to have Chaos Knights from Forge World.
Those kits look good, man.
Yeah, I love Chaos, but I like playing zombies, and zombies don't do a lot against Knights. But adding in, like if you go with conversion beamers on rapier batteries, that does work against Knights too.
Those are really good.
Yeah, any of the rapier batteries are typically good against that. But if you're just playing stock out of the Codex 40K, I would go with some deep striking Obliterators and some Chosen. The Chosen are pretty cheap, and you can do work with Obliterators even if you're not facing Knights.
Yeah, and another option, before I get chastised here, Raptors with 2 Meltaguns. It's like 105 points.
I'm going to let you have that one. I'm not going to say anything against that.
I mean, it's an option. It's an option.
Well, okay, in tournament missions to where things like progressive objectives are a thing, which if you're playing like in a Forged Narrative mission packet, or if you're going to be playing at the ATC, the progressive objectives are real, and things that can deep strike in are going to help you against your opponent, who may have a larger number of units than you, going for those points to try to make it where it's difficult for you to win. Mm-hmm. So you're making a good point, and for the points and the effectiveness and what they can do for you in the mission, they might not be bad.
Yeah, they're cheap, and like for me, I love the model. I thought the model was really cool, and I was like, well, what makes a Raptor good? Well, the only thing I could really find is honestly 2 melta-guns. So that's how I ran it. That's how all my Raptors are built. I have 3 squads of them. 3 squads.
I've run them that way. I've got some Khorne Raptors that the way I used to build my Chaos Army is I had a unit from every god, at least 1 unit from every god. Except I used Obliterators as my Tzeentch unit. I painted them blue. Because they change, right?
That's true.
But
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I had Khorne Raptors with melta-guns. And I enjoyed playing them. So, yeah, what do you do? We're wrapping up the end of the hour, man. It's a good one.
Yeah, it was quick.
Man, that went fast, yeah.
Dean's saying he's lost more knights to Karn, Huron, and princes, but that's anecdotal. And actually, Karn can do serious damage, and Be'lakor. I should have brought this up too. Be'lakor, very good against knights. He's basically the guy. If you can go in and effectively one-shot a knight with him, with just a very, very little luck and a little bit of help. And so don't underestimate that. So if you're playing with that in your area, he's got a good point. Karn and Be'lakor and the princes are going to struggle. You have to double up on princes. But at the same time, you're playing a guy who's playing knights, then once you start peeling off knights, his effectiveness is going to shoot down the toilet.
It's like Terminators on crack. You have an army full of Terminators. Yeah, you pass 19 saves, and when you fail the 20th, it hurts.
Yeah, but thanks again for that suggestion. Yeah, low model counts. As soon as you start stripping away, you crack that. You basically break that seal on them. Then they just start spiraling out of control, and it's difficult. It's difficult.
I think I saw someone do 3 knights in Legion of the Damned, and against Tau Gunline, that was not pretty.
Oh, did they get eaten up?
He got fairly discouraged. I mean, he failed some clutch saves on his 3+ shield on the front of his Knight HQ, but I just didn't see a whole lot happen to the Tau sitting behind their Void Shield generator.
Troy said he also did both London and Warhammer World. I know that comment's been there for a while. So I'd love to hear your impression of it and when you went. When I went, it was Warhammer World is not what it is today. I'm really looking forward to going back, and I don't regret going up there. It was very, very fun and interesting experience. But I'm really wanting to go now and see how it is. So I'm curious to see how you enjoyed it.
Goal Adepticon next year. Maybe I can make it to England the year after.
Yeah, it's as far as pilgrimage goes.
Pilgrimage.
I can think of worse ones. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's all I'm saying. But okay, guys, it's been a fun chat with y'all. I think this week on the podcast we're going to be, of course, talking about Army List, talking about the ATST. Going to be talking about 30K stuff. I mean, that's the more a local buddy of mine just got the Tempest book because he's an Ultramarines fanatic. I've got some Death Guard and Sons of Horus. Luna Wolves is what they are for me. So I'm really looking forward to put them on the table. So maybe we get some more 30K going. And I've got those AdMech tanks. I've been painting the crap out of those AdMech tanks. When I finally get them all finished, I'll put some pictures up on the Forge Narrative Facebook, but I've been putting some stuff on Twitter just as a kind of work in progress shots.
Sweet. I got a game in against one of the listeners, Kelly. Was it about a week ago now, maybe? Man, let me tell you, Demonettes and Sanguinary Guard, they don't mix.
They don't. It is a terrible point ratio difference.
I'm charging in, man. I'm like, God, this is about to suck. But I had 2 Scout Squads and Sanguinary Guard, and I was like, my best chance is Sanguinary Guard? I don't know.
You didn't kill him with your Angelus bolt pistols?
Man.
Yeah, man.
Man.
Just deca.
I know, just like pop off. Although, I mean, I would have taken all Meltaguns and probably still been SOL. But
The struggle was real. It was a very close game. I barely won, and I'm ashamed to admit it. I had to run with Dante to go snatch Linebreaker instead of keep killing. Dante was literally my only model left. After.
You got to keep the eye on the prize, though. So if Dante needs to tip his toe into the enemy lines, then he will to win that mission.
I think I'll be playing him.
I'll tell you what, though.
Again.
I'll tell you what, I'm very glad I invested in the Siege of Vrax book, because Inquisitor Hector Rex in Thunderhammer Stormshield Terminators with Mephiston and a Priest does not suck.
That's beautiful. Now, what happens in this new Marine decks if those Terminators are like 33 points each instead of 40, 45 or whatever?
Stop talking about cheaper Terminators.
Yeah.
Hark the Herald Angels sing, man.
I mean, Hector Rex is going to be the man. He's going to be the new Kodiaz.
FAQ, the Blood Angels Terminators, man.
Yeah, Blood Angels, we're not getting the love now. Dark Angels, though. Dark Angels do come out next.
I think they're going to be good.
They're finally going to get the benefit of not being the test run for the Marines. They're going to get what's good to Marines and their own stuff.
Maybe.
Yeah, we got the test run part. Us and Space Wolves. And Space Wolves got the better of that.
Space Wolves always get the best rules.
Space Wolves is an amazing book, still.
Yeah,
but I still have not lost to Space Wolves with my new Blood Angels.
I'm flying
or the old
Utah.
ones.
I'm flying Utah.
You do it. I will take you. I will take you in your tall madness.
Well, cool, guys. Well, everybody in the chat, thank y'all very much for joining us on our week back after my vacation. Good to be back. I know you can't tell that I was out in the sun for a whole week, but yeah. I was. Chris and Justin, thank y'all for joining me. I said we're going to be hitting up the podcast. You guys got any questions you want us to cover on the podcast, please hit us up on Facebook and the messages there. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we will see you guys next week. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Good night, guys.